What is this garbage you're watching? I want to watch the news.
Are you making headway at least?
This is the news.
Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and change the format to where you can unmute yourself. Okay, guys, so feel free, *6, and we can start a conversation. We can talk about what we heard tonight. We can just talk about what you're going through, or we can talk about activism, any of those topics.
Ella?
Yes?
Yes, good evening. I just have a question for you.
Sure.
In the time that you've been on here, and I've heard you a couple of times, have you ever run across law enforcement that was also targeted? Not federal. I know you had Kenny and others, but regular state or city law enforcement that was also a targeted individual. I'm just curious.
No, come to think of it, not one. But I suspect they may not come to our groups. I mean, they may be listening. I mean, I've met people that do just about everything. You name it. You'd be surprised. But never a police officer. A judge. No, a judge came forward. I believe so. I had a conversation with somebody from the organization. So there's a judge, and just not a cop. Mm-mm.
Well, pleased to make your acquaintance.
Pleased to make your acquaintance. Wow. You know, a lot of people think that cops are participating in this.
They definitely are.
Okay.
They definitely are.
Gosh, how long have you heard about this before this happened to you? Had you heard about this from other police officers or law enforcement?
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
I didn't think so. I did not think so.
You know, I was also I was the one who spoke out, who didn't subscribe to groupthink, who challenged. And that's what got me in it. I went through a lot. Happen. Yeah, I went through a lot. And how I got through it, I'm retired now, but I'm still going through it, is I didn't talk about it. And I kept my mouth shut. And, I had a close confidant that later flipped on me. But, I did a lot of detoxing, a lot of exercise and running. But when you're coming home and your door is open, the light is on, you go to work and your locker's open, and, it's sabotage with reports and things of that nature, you really have to be strong. Right. And I see what I said was, the first chance they get to call me crazy or have me see a psychologist to take my guns or take the pension, so I kept my mouth shut. Mm-hmm. And I basically still do the same thing. You know, it's like I live two lives. It's amazing.
That's a lot of people, too. And I always wondered if that was the case. You guys have a lot. If you're a law enforcement officer, and I do know there's pensions involved, I always wondered if people just kept it to themselves because they had something to lose. And also because it's a tough thing. I know the mindset of law enforcement, so I would imagine that it's not something you talking about, quote-unquote, conspiracy or things that are kind of outside the realm of common knowledge. Just the interactions I've had with cops are kind of a straight, kind of a narrow perspective type of, I'm wrong. I'm talking to you, you don't sound that way at all. But, my experiences with cops are just kind of rigid people, and maybe not open to some of the complexities of life and the things that we know.
Yeah. And then, the other thing is, it nearly drove me over the edge initially because I didn't know what was going on.
Right. So what did you experience first?
What I experienced first was coming home and my door open and my light on in the basement.
Right.
No, I didn't do that. And then coming home and my PC was on.
Oh, wow.
and then going to work, and my locker's open, and I have a suit on, a suit that I didn't bring from my house in my locker.
Wow.
So then, I mean, it was just, it's just a whole lot of stuff. But it was a blessing and a curse because I had two people come and tell me what was going on, and another one hinted. And the first one who told me what was going on said that he's scared and doesn't want to get involved, but he knows I'm a good person, and just try to grin and bear it, and hopefully it goes away. But he knows. All of this happened after the Patriot Act, after 9/11. That's when it happened. That's when it started. So it definitely has something to do with the Patriot Act.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people say. There was a lot of what little oversight there was gone at that point. They kind of had free reign to do whatever. There were so many loopholes that people could implement things like this with no oversight. It's wartime, quote unquote.
Well, let me. The other thing that I hold on to is I try not to react. I try to respond. One thing, while I was working, they did a lot of integrity tests. They do that on police officers. If they suspect them for doing some criminality, but they never not supported me or never didn't back me up. Never, nothing like that. But they did a lot of integrity tests. But what helped me also is I started meditating, and I said to myself, there's no way that they're going to be able to get away with this. Maybe in this realm, but when we leave here, they're going to have to answer for it. They got to. They got to. I'm a spiritual person, not really religious. I really believe in something different. But just know that whatever we go through, they're going to have to answer for it. I mean, this is their heaven. They're getting their gold. They're getting their money now. But when they leave here, we're going to have to answer for it. So nobody gets out of here scot-free. We all going to die. So that's what helped me. And hopefully everybody is able to endure until this thing shows itself and comes out. And because still, I'm not totally out the closet with it. I'm still behind a curtain, right? I'm still playing two people. I mean, there's only a couple of people that, I think maybe two that know. And they don't really speak to me anymore. So that's the price we pay when you disclose that, right? But they take you 80% of the way, and if you start disclosing it to your family and friends, then they say that there's something wrong with you, then that's it. So you try to grin and bear it, and hopefully we get enough courage, and there's a movement, and it comes out. I just want this thing stopped, I really wouldn't sue. I just want it stopped. I just want it stopped. I know a lot of people going through a lot. I mean, it sounds crazy what I'm saying, but I just want it stopped.
Doesn't sound crazy to us.
Can I ask the officer a question?
Of course.
In your opinion, what causes the uptick in all of these police-involved shootings of people of color? Is it a problem with training, or what has changed, or what's wrong that all of these shootings and killing people of color that we see on TV?
Personally, I think that police officers don't come from Pluto. They don't come from Saturn. They come from right here on Earth. So if you're used to a certain socialization, everybody, I think, comes with a certain bias. And you may get 6 months or 9 months worth of training. If you feel that way different about somebody else, training is not going to change that. So when police officers have a position of authority, they don't have power, right? Only the Most High God and Omnipotent has that. But the authority that we have, that is given by the state, gives you certain latitudes, right? and without oversight in some cases. That's why people need to be knowledgeable in their state of, what's right and what's wrong and what police officers can do and what they can't do. And people really don't. They're not really knowledgeable. So they're at the mercy of the police officer if the police officer has ethics. And then, police officers are scared too, right? The media perpetuates that African American people are violent, right? So if they're not used to that socialization where they grew up, right? If they don't have any black friends or they didn't go to a college or a high school with black people, they're going to be biased, right? Because of their social engineering and because of their environment. So people are people, I hope I answered your question.
Do you think that they... Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to make a comment, too.
I wanted to ask you, I got a lot of police stalking me. I'm targeted individual. And I got a lot of police stalking me, and you just told Ella that you're targeted. And they say some police know and some police don't know. So you didn't know about this program before you got targeted, am I correct?
Yeah, I heard you a little bit. If you can move.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can hear you now. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I heard you. And yes, I didn't know about the program. And yes, I am a target.
Oh, you're going in and out now. They're messing with the phone.
Yeah, we're losing you now. We're losing your volume.
Okay. Yes, I'm a targeted individual. Yes, I didn't know about the program.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, sir.
Yeah, your audio all of a sudden started having issues. I don't know if it's just your cell phone or...
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Better.
Yeah, yes, I'm a target individual. Yes, I didn't know about the program. And what was your other question?
You said yes, you did know, or you didn't know?
I did not know.
He didn't know.
I did not.
Okay.
Know. I did not know.
Oh, okay.
I'm a person of ethics, and even though I would have loved to move up further in the police department because I did leave with rank, I'm a type of person that this type of thing, if it was presented to me, would probably bother me.
That makes sense. Because you have ethics. Right. I understand now. So you're not the kind of person that would know.
Well, you have to understand. It's a lot of pressure. People have mortgages. They have rent. They want to go along. They get along. They're scared.
Right. Exactly.
You have to look at the history. You have to look at history and what happens to people that don't go along.
So do they choose?
Listen,
oh, okay. Okay, go ahead.
I answered your question. I hear you. I'm sure there's other people that want to answer question because I really don't talk a lot. So I'll answer this question and I'll let somebody else. I'm sure somebody else wants to answer the question. Do they choose what?
Do they choose which officers they let know and the ones they don't?
I wasn't in the loop, so I wouldn't know that. Obviously, I didn't. I'm the one that was that is still targeted and was targeted. So I'm sure that there's some people that was in the sanctum. I surely wasn't.
Right.
It's just politics. Okay. It's job. It's government politics. That's all.
Okay. Can I ask, is Freemasonry a part of this also? In terms of officers? I've heard that the Fraternal Order, the Union is Masonic, and that's really the root of the problem with the law enforcement is the Freemasonry.
When you say Freemasonry is in regards to targeting, or
no, in terms of the corruption. Because Freemasonry,
I couldn't say that. I really couldn't say that. Really.
Yeah, I know that.
I think corruption and being a part of the Masonic order is mutually exclusive, right? You can't. Right. That's a form of deductive reasoning, right?
Well, according to Albert Pike, one of the highest-ranking Freemasons historically, in his book Morals and Dogma, he claims that the god, little g, of Freemasonry is Lucifer, Satan. I mean, I know this sounds bizarre, but
no, I'm not saying.
You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in Q&A mode so we don't have all this because everyone's excited. So I'm going to put it on Q&A mode.
Okay.
And that way it'll be a little more controlled and I think people are just excited. Okay, hold on. Okay, just *6, and we can ask questions one by one, just so people can hear and so there's not a lot of interruptions. Go ahead and *6. Is it in Q&A? It says I have 2 pending. For some reason it's not showing. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to go to the next person. Hi there. Hello? Okay, I guess I'll go to the next person. Okay. Oh, a lot of questions. Are you still there, 718?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, great. I'm going to go to 920 here. Hi, 920. Do you have a question?
Hi, Ella, and hi, Mr. Policeman. I just wanted to make a comment. Maybe you can look it up. There's a Dan Bethards, Bethards, for the Wisconsin Department of Justice. He was a police officer, and he basically told the truth about another police taking shotguns and modifying them into automatic weapons, and he actually did it for our Attorney General, I think, also. You can look up his information. I don't believe they use directed energy weapons on him, at least not as of yet. But he lost a lawsuit, and he was forced to leave his job and retaliated on for basically doing the right thing. So I don't know if this, if everybody gets reprimanded, but what happens, it seems like, is that they kind of have some backlash with their job or other things, so it could be in different forms too, that they may not go all to the extent of what we're dealing with, but I think that happens with a lot of government positions, that they lose their jobs and they get sabotaged in the future and things like that. So you might look him up if you could ever get in touch with him. Maybe, that would be helpful too. So I just wanted to make that comment. So
thank you very much. Thank you very much. I mean, it's good when you're going through a traumatic, life-changing event like we are, to have something in common other than just targeting them. So you can identify, you can, go back. How I get through it now, I just try to ignore it. I just ignore it. You know what I mean? Ignore it. Because in the end, we all gonna go, as well as our abusers. And I'm a firm believer when they go before the man or the woman or the spirit, and they ask them why, what are they gonna say? Because they told me to? They told me to do that? Is that gonna hunt? That dog is not gonna hunt. So that's what keeps me going.
Yeah, following orders is just, everyone in every job has to quit just following orders and start thinking about what's actually, am I harming somebody else? Am I doing the right thing? We can't continually be little foot soldiers for this Gestapo, this cabal that's running the world. I mean, And that's at the hospitals, that's the police stores, that's every facet of, even corporations, whatever. It's got to stop. People have to start taking responsibility for themselves.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. But he's right. I feel the same way, that eventually karma comes, and whether it's in this life or the next life. And the world it's dismal at the moment, and it's chaotic, and it just seems so dark right now. And I think hopefully there'll be like a shift within people. I'm hoping that it will cause people to start questioning and looking around them, because sometimes when things are going poorly as things are going these days, it makes people start reflecting a little bit more, because people just go about their day and do their thing, but something has to happen to be a catalyst to get them to think differently. Like it happened to us. We were forced into a situation where all of a sudden we were questioning our reality. Like, what is going on? Who is doing this? You have neural weapons, you have these directed energy, microwave, radio frequency. They're all the same, in my opinion. They're all radio frequency. And so you're dealing with that, and you're dealing with people who are getting paid to stalk you and harass you and break in your home and surveil you. And so that'll open up your mind. All of a sudden you're receptive to all kinds of information. So hopefully, as we go down this path and the world really does seem to be falling apart, people will start to do that. Everyone else will hopefully join in to where we're already at. We were like awakened. It wasn't fun to wake up this way, and I didn't know about all of this prior to this. I lived in a little bubble for myself and my kids. I was careful what I listened to, the music, what the kids were hearing. I was careful what they were watching, what they were seeing, and so you live in that little bubble and you just don't know. And I was the same way when I was a girl. My dad really sheltered me and protected me, and so I was forced to start paying attention, and that's what we need. We need stuff like this to happen, and we need more to happen so other people will start to wake up and pay attention and do the research and start turning to alternative press. I'm glad Trump goes on there and calls it fake news. I don't want to get into my political opinions, but I'm glad he says those things. So people will go to the Internet and start seeking out the credible alternative news outlets. And there are really credible outlets now. It's like a lot of people who used to work for the mainstream have gone and created, gone to work for alternative news because they don't want to be paid puppets. There are people out there that have integrity. They'd rather go work for an alternative press and get paid per article than to get paid more money and just forced to write a puff piece or forced to write articles they don't really believe in because that's what their job is. Anyways, that's just my thought.
Yep, that's good. I really wish more people in the law profession would start doing this the most, the law and the medical profession. But
yeah,
I don't know how they can keep incarcerating the little person, for little drugs or whatever, when you have the doctors that are handing out Ritalin to kids and stuff. I mean, the whole thing is just completely bizarre,
Yeah, it is. Why do you think, and I don't know, maybe this question is kind of ridiculous, but why do you think it's so hard when we call the police and we're trying to get support? And I know you're just one man and you're, being one individual, and I'm not trying to ask you a collective question of all police officers or law enforcement, but it seems like they really have a hard time understanding that there's something going on. Like when you try to explain to what's going on, they just give you that look, oh, she's crazy. Or it's like I don't know how to approach law enforcement. And I've had some good experiences, too, like when I went to the FBI. But I'm just curious what we can do. Maybe you have an opinion or you can share some information on how to approach law enforcement in a way that they will at least listen to what we have to say.
Well, Ella, no question is a dumb question. I'll say number one.
Thank you.
Number two, it's not what you say, it's what you can prove. Mm-hmm. So when you call in the police, you won't say gang stalking, right? Or enemy of the state or what is it? The federal is progressive, professional aggression. That's what the feds call it. You would articulate your harassment. They have stalking laws now, so they can take a report for stalking, but you have to remember, depending on the practice of the county, the city, the state, or where you're at, they have supervisors, right? So they probably will have to ask the supervisor before, if it's not a normal index crime, which is burglary, robbery, felony, or grand larceny. They'll have to ask for permission if it's outside of what they normally do. So it's probably just not up to him or her. So you have to articulate something that's a crime or a violation or something that a report needs to be taken, like harassment, like stalking, something like that,
Abuse.
And you can't, it's best not to say somebody's following me. He did this, he did that. You have to articulate that the crime happened. Later on, when you ask for your FOIA request and you get that paperwork, if you want to be litigious and sue, then you can bring that up and articulate that in court, papers. But the police recognize crimes, so that's what you have to articulate. And if the person is there and they committed a crime, there's no reason why they're not going to get locked up. It's your word against theirs. So don't talk about the gang stalking. Don't talk about the workplace mobbing.
Don't use the word. Right.
Articulate the crime, the robbery, the grand larceny, the window breaking, the criminal mischief, the stalking. This person followed me X amount of blocks. Look at the camera. That's it. Why would they do that? If the officer asks you, I don't know. I'm calling you because a crime has been committed and I want a report taken. He said, I want him locked up. That's all. The police officer is not judge and jury. He's a part of the executive branch, right? So he's going to lock them up or lock her up because you're the complainant, and then you got to go to court, and then, it plays out there. So you just have to subdue your emotions, be relaxed. It's hard. It's very hard. It's very hard for me still, and I still got my weapon. And then I used to work for Creemore. I used to work for a mental institution. So, I mean, I'm talking to you guys and girls, but I'm talking to myself also because this is a form of counseling, right? I don't really do this. I sit back and I listen to you, Ellen, I listen to other people, I watch YouTube videos, but something compelled me to speak up and say something today.
Good. Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's been a rough 3 weeks off and on, but I don't know. I hope I helped you, Ella.
You did. And I'm sorry you're going through this. It's horrific, and it's so tough to prove. It's like plausible deniability and built into every part of what happens. And maybe that's just crimes. It's hard to prove crimes oftentimes.
Yeah. It's very, very hard to prove, but that's what you have to be thinking. Anytime you deal with anything, anytime you make an allegation against anybody, when a person comes, what are they going to see? They're going to see somebody who went through an emotional trauma, which is normal, but the police officer is not a doctor, right? You're probably going to be hysterical, but you have to remain calm because the police officer needs accurate and concise information so he can make a determination if a crime has been committed, if he should take action, or if it's a civil matter. So this is what you have to think about, when these things happen. So that's what I think about, because stuff like this happens to me, quite frequently. And most of the times I just ignore it, until they put their hands on me. Then I'm going to make a report. And if the police officer tries to act like he doesn't want to, I show him where the camera is. And if he doesn't want to make a report, then I'm going to make a report on him. Because you have to do it. Because if you happen to be locked up or admitted in a mental institution, all of this is going to be a proof later on that you've been systematically harassed. And if there's, a time in between them, that makes it, more plausible that these things are going on, right? So they may not totally agree that you have been targeted, but at least you'll get off, God willing, if you're involved in a criminal court litigation, or if you're admitted into a hospital,
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Does that make sense?
That sounds like really good advice. I mean, I agree with you. My instincts say, just for a lot of reasons, to try to be as calm as possible. Is even if we're panicked and feeling frenzied, and it's just, you have emotional responses to things. I would imagine that just for many reasons, it's good to try to be calm and clear. And like you said, they have to be able to take the report, and they need to hear you clearly and calmly so they can understand what you're trying to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. What gets me the most, Ella, is I get everything. Break-ins and helicopters, and all type of people bumping into me. But it amazes me how people could know you all your life. How you could have a friend and they know you, and they know how you think, and they know how you are, and they change and they turn and they start doing these things. Mm-hmm. It's like, what could they have possibly have on you that you would want to do this to me? Money? That's the most amazing thing to me. It's amazing. The betrayal and not being able to trust people. One good thing about this, though, you see, we have a real racial problem in this country. But this program that we're in, it doesn't matter the race, the creed, the color. We're all in this together. And
you're right.
I think that's what it's going to take to stop this thing. I mean, I really do. If there's one silver lining, that's it to me. That's it. I mean, it's terrible that we're going through this, but it's not just one. Now I think there's more of a group that are targeted more than others. I see a lot of women, a lot of minority women, a lot of women of color. But I see other people also, and a lot of people are complaining. So, listen, I just wanted to stop, and I just hope that the man above is looking, and he's writing everything down. And when these people transition, they're going to have to answer for this. That's my only prayer. And it hurts me when I see women, but that's my only prayer. That of course, my prayer is for it to stop. But my other prayer is that these people, big and small, have to answer for all of this. Because it's one thing to just kill somebody. It's another thing. I mean, I've been going through this for 15 years. So I mean, I just hope that and pray that they have to answer for the stuff that they partake in. I really do.
Thank you. Do you want to answer a couple more questions? Is that okay?
I don't have a problem.
Okay, cool. Okay, let me go to the next person. 920, did you want to ask anything else? She might have read it herself. Okay, I'm going to come to 404 area code. Hi, 404. Do you have a question?
I do. More of a comment. One of your callers asked about, the unarmed killings of people of color. I just wanted to make a comment about that. I think that this has always gone on. The only difference is now they're being caught. And that just has, that's because of technology and cell phones recording it. And I would almost say that I think that the people that are doing it are part of who are hurting us. You know, I think it's very orchestrated in most cases, not all. In most cases, I think that they are probably part of some kind of hate group or, you know, some kind of group. I won't say the Masons. I don't know. But I think it's very orchestrated. And I wouldn't be surprised, you know, and maybe even part of a genocide program. It could be the same people doing what they're doing to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard to say.
There's no. Anonymous investigated, you know, in Minnesota when that guy was killed. These police officers were part of the Ku Klux Klan. You know, and I came from Georgia. And in Georgia, I don't know if you heard about this case, where this police officer pulled over this white woman, and she said, "Don't shoot me." You know, he said, "Are you black?" He said, "We only kill black people." So I do think it's orchestrated. I do think they are part of some kind of group. And I think it's always gone on. The difference is that they are now being caught. It's very sad.
That's sad. Okay. I'm going to go to the next person now. Thanks for your comments. Okay. Grass, G-R-A-S, you're unmuted. I don't know if they even have a microphone. It doesn't show. Okay, I'm going to go to 919. Hi, 919, area code.
Well, hi, Miss Ella. How are you people tonight
I'm
doing?
good. How are you, sir?
Well, I'm still standing is the way I like to put it, and no brag, just a fact. But anyway, I wanted to, make a comment and ask the gentleman a question. I'll ask the question first. The question was, has anybody labeled him as a whistleblower, and if so, has his targeting changed since he's been talking to people about his situation?
Well, you know, while I was working, I was involved with a couple of controversial incidents, and I guess you can call, I wouldn't say a whistleblower, but I was the type of person that straight shooter, do things by the book, and put people on Front Street. And I didn't go along to get along, so I did what was right. So I wouldn't say a whistleblower per se, but somebody that I did what was right. And I didn't keep it real. I did what was right. I didn't go along with the blue wall of silence. I just did what was right. And sometimes, you know, in a culture that depends on each other, you know, that's frowned on. So I hope I answered your question.
Yes. Well, that does. And I've started out feeling the same way. I consider myself a whistleblowing activist at this point, and proud of it. And targeting worse or targeting better, it doesn't really matter, because I'm just like you said, you do the right things, and you do what feels right, what needs to be done, and the more of us that do that, the better off we're going to be. The comment I wanted to make to all the listeners is, well, maybe it's a question too. What would us guys think if we ran across the fact, being it might be a fact, it may not be, but, well, I've been working on some things, and what if we found out that somewhere along the way we signed some papers, or was tricked to sign some papers that actually says we gave permission to be a part of this. Just wanted to throw that out there, and we're right steady signing stuff all the time. Permission for treatment and this and that and the other at medical places, and well, you can get a ROI, request of information, at any and all of your medical places you've been, or you can do a FOIA at the authority places and courthouse to get information to find out. But we're all getting phone calls that are strange, and when we try to call it back, I heard talk of some people actually making a digest of phone calls to someone saying that they had been in contact with them from a medical place when the people had no contact with the medical place at all. They were making a list like the person was coming in and out of the medical facility and had not been there at all, and was treating them medically without their knowledge without their permission, because of some papers they had signed. Just wanted to throw that out there. You can research it a little bit yourself. And I want to thank the gentleman for coming on the call and sharing with us, and thank Ella for having the call. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Linda's next. A voice I've been missing.
Thanks,
Go ahead,
Ella.
Linda.
Hi. Sir, thank you so much. What you're telling us is really rather reassuring, because you're very real and you're being honest with us. And thank you. It helps me. I think I'm quoting you correctly. I think you said that what we need to keep in mind is the fact that these officers have families and jobs and futures to protect. And what I think I'm hearing from you is that there's a possibility that they too are being victimized in order to cooperate with this situation. And if that is the case, my sense is that's going to bring all this down sooner, because nobody likes to be victimized. And after a while, people who are victimized do rebel. And if that's the case with the officers, God bless them. I'm sorry that's happening to them, and I hope they rebel right alongside of us, you know? Thank you. Thank you for being so helpful to us. You really are.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay.
Although I wouldn't say victimized, I wouldn't say that. I think that you have to remember, in order for anybody to want to partake and do this, they have to really demonize us, right?
Oh, yep.
So when they go to these people and they demonize us, it doesn't take too much for people to start harassing you, if you will. You know, or this guy is not a good guy. This guy is a troublemaker. You know, this guy, whatever they tell them, you know. You know, so and then the need to want to belong to a group is very, very strong, especially in the police department, right? You depend on each other. So that type of, you know, that's very important. You know, you're dealing with terrible people out there. You're dealing with good people, but you're dealing with some terrible people out there. So you have to understand it's a paramilitary organization, very para. And the need to want to be in a group is very, very strong.
Well,
and to be accepted.
Am I right? I'm sorry, go ahead.
So what I'm saying to you is I don't really think that they have to really coerce somebody to do this, because if they identify a person that's not really in the in crowd, that really has high ethics, then they won't approach that person. They'll go to somebody else that's within that group that doesn't have high moral standards, higher moral code, that will do it. But either way, I think everybody comes with maybe a little smidgen of ethics. So for that little smidgen, they got to smear your name, right? They got to really demonize you. right? They gotta make you a pariah.
Yep.
Then it's easier, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and we know that they do demonize us. I've got people gossiping around here about me, about things that they said happened 35 years ago. I've only been here for 4 years. They don't know me, but they're doing it.
Yeah, but here's what I want to say.
Yeah.
Your neighbors, your co-workers, your family members, they basically run the same playbook for all of us. But one thing we have to realize, we cannot fall into what was said about us. We have to take the high road, even though it kills us, even though we're attacked, even though we're getting hit by this sonic stuff, these microwave, all of this stuff. We have to understand what's going on more than our family, our neighbors, our co-worker. So you have to subdue your emotions. If you have to go home and cry, go in the closet, go somewhere else, you cannot do it and blow up in front of people, because now you're playing into the playbook that they set. Does that make sense?
Oh,
so they take us 80% of the way, and then you take yourself 20% of the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's the bottom line.
Yeah.
It don't take much to kill us all.
Yeah.
It don't take much. If they wanted to do that, we'd be done. There's nothing we can do, right?
Right.
There's nothing we can do. So it's more than just surveillance and stalking. It's experimenting. It's just a whole lot of things. It's managing your behavior, right? It's testing certain things. It's keeping you in line. There's a lot of things go along with this. It's not just one thing. So we have to, we are the stars of the earth right now, believe it or not. We are the stars. We have to know that. And we are going to, when we meet our maker, we're going to get our prize for this. That's what I say to myself. They're not going to get it. I'm going to get it. I'm not doing this to nobody. They are.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. You sure have a lot of good stuff to share with us. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I feel very blessed. Very blessed that you're speaking up.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Ellen.
Thanks, Linda. Linda, will you call me tomorrow? When I call your phone number, it won't go through.
Oh, you too? Nobody can get through to me, and I've been wondering why you haven't been calling me back. Now I know.
I didn't even know you called me. I didn't even get a voicemail from you.
You're kidding. Oh, my
Not
God.
one.
Well, somebody does not want us to talk, and I will absolutely call you tomorrow, hon. I thought
Thank you. No, I love you. And I go, did she get mad at me?
No, I thought the same thing. It's like, oh, no. We were good friends. Bless your heart. Yeah, absolutely.
No, I still love you to pieces, and call me tomorrow. We'll try to get through. It just says your number's been disconnected.
Oh, no. Oh, you've got my old number. You've got my old number.
Maybe, but I wrote it down just to make sure, to compare the two numbers I had.
Okay, well, then you have my new one, too. I'll call you. That way you'll have my new number.
It sounds good. Okay.
Yeah, Verizon had a little trouble with – it's a long story. But anyway, ended up with a new phone number. I'll call you tomorrow.
Thanks, Linda. I'm so happy to hear that.
Oh,
Talk to you tomorrow.
Okay, honey.
Me too. Okay, bye-bye. Hi there, Al.
Hey, what's going on there, lady? How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm just having a very good conversation with this gentleman who decided to kind of share some information with us, so I'm enjoying that.
I don't know how much information.
I missed.
Well, you're giving us a perspective. You're giving us perspective. So many of us wish we knew how to present ourselves. We always wonder how much the police know, what the involvement is, and all these questions that we all have. Here you are to answer some of them. We appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah, he sounds very professional. I mean, that's the way to deal with it, not be a dodo and invite trouble. You don't think out what you're supposed to be inquiring about or handling as a situation. what you are going to use the police for, and that's the only way to ride. So yeah, it's good to hear somebody giving the straight, educated deal. Here they just passed. I don't want to go off topic, but when they did the midterm elections here in Washington State, they had an array of like a bunch of these different questions that had to do with taxes. But the ACLU texted me and said, "Oh, we want you to vote yes on this one thing." I think it was called 620, and it had to do with better training for police officers. And we see it. They tried to trick you because the ACLU is down with this stuff, unfortunately, because I went to them and the whole 9 yards. Anyway, to make a long story short, the actual law they tried to implement, I don't know if they went through or not, the one that the ACLU texted me about, they said, we want to give better training to the police officers so that they can't use extreme violence, the whole 9 yards, and also education for mental health. And as soon as they went education for mental health, I was like, boom, I voted no for that. Because it had to do with them not being able to use lethal force. But the thing where they tricked everybody is them being trained for mental health. In other words, that's way too much power, because from what I read, I really don't know what I'm talking about, but from what I did read in the mental health area, if you ever do, or a psychologist or whatever evaluates that you have some issues, or they document it in a negative or out of context area, you really don't have much of a defense. So if they're going to train officers to evaluate you in a mental health perspective, I think that's giving them a little too much, due
power.
To the circumstances. Well, yeah, due to the circumstances of the weaponry and the control model itself. I mean, if you see, all the shootings that have occurred in the last 5 years or 4 years, however long it's happened, they always say that person has got mental health issues. So automatically, after about 6 months of that, I went, boom, that's a control model, and they're trying to bring in mental health to facilitate, whatever, a control, who knows, but anyway, it's got, that and then gun control. I mean, who knows what they're doing in that area. So it's nothing negative about police officers. Of course I want them to be better trained, everybody does, but you bring in that mental health thing, I'm like, no, no, they're not going to be trained for that.
Right. I have a question about that. How much mental health training do you get as far as psychology goes? Because I had an interaction here with a police officer because I've adopted foster kids and I've had a lot of foster kids. And I remember him saying something so bizarre. He said to me, and I was talking about my son, I said, he was in a violent home and his dad has been to prison time and time again, and there was drug deals going on. And he goes, well, how old were you when you how old was he when he came to you? I said 8. And I go, so a lot of this stuff is starting to come to the surface as a teenager. And he goes, no, he should have been fine by then if he's been with you 7 years. I was like, this guy's an idiot. He didn't seem to know much about psychology at all. Kids are trouble that often manifests in their teenage years. So I don't know. So I'm just curious about training in the mental health area. And also, do you guys report and record like someone's affect, like if a person was disturbed, or do you use words like it's a mental health issue, or what do you guys do on your end as far as that goes?
Well, yes, of course, we definitely get training in mostly disturbed people.
Right.
Mostly those people that you encounter are not criminals, right? They're in need of some mental health. So
right.
Services. You would try to rectify it and take them to a hospital. I mean, if they're a danger to themselves or somebody else,
right.
if they have a weapon, then that's a totally different thing. And you would move back and isolate and call the specialty unit most likely to come and take care of that. But what I'm hearing you say though, I don't know if he was rude. That's where police officers really get
get in trouble the most. It's not what they do with their mouth, the sense of entitlement that they have. You know, I used to correct that time and time again. I said, you could do and get what you want done without belittling and being nasty to somebody.
But you know, the thing is, he obviously was not trained in psychology. No person would say, no educated person in the field of, in the counseling field.
Hello?
Hello?
Maybe her phone disconnected. Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello? Or maybe her phone disconnected.
Hello? Can you hear me?
I'm still on.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Ella must have dropped. She must have been knocked off the call because she was.
Yeah. So you said you're in Washington State, buddy?
Yeah. I'm up here. My mom was dying, so I came up. I'm from Miami. I got sidetracked about 6 years ago, then to get to Colorado, and then here. And
I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry about your loss.
Yeah, and then they hooked me up. So and you said you've been hooked up for like 15. You're dealing with all the weaponry and everything else.
You know, mine comes and goes with all of it. It comes and goes and comes and goes, and I find what helps me is I try to, when it's at its worst, I try to meditate, and I try to speak to the Creator directly. And
that's horrible. That long of a period of time. Have you ever been scanned?
Have I ever been what?
Scanned.
No.
Okay, that's how you find out. If this started that long ago, that should be really easy for you to locate, and then, I mean, trying to get them removed, it's really difficult, but you can, that long ago, there's things you can take to melt the polymers. They put them around. In other words, if you're getting hit continuously, in other words, you don't.
No, not continuously. I get the microwave every now and then. Then I'll get the noise campaigns, and I get the stalking, and I get the break-ins. I get off and on everything. But here's what I'm saying. The other thing is, I hate to dwell on this so much, because when you dwell on it too much, and then you want to, if they do this, I'll do this. If they do that, I'll do this. When you start doing that and you get preoccupied in it, then your whole life consumes you, and you don't have any time for anything else, right? So if they have chips, if they have them in me, they have them in me. What can I do about them? I need to live the best life that I can. I'm dwelling on it. I meditate. I know it goes on. I look at YouTube. Sometimes I stay in the house for 2-3 days. But I'm determined to live the best life that I can live. It's a different life. It's not the life that I lived 15 years ago. But over the 15 years, it's been incorporated in my life, right? And this sounds bad, but the other thing that helps me is knowing that I'm not going through this alone. I'm here alone, but there's a whole lot of people across the world and in this country that's going through it. So who am I to just wake up and say, you know what? Today is the day I'm just going to end it. That's selfish of me. Go through something. There's people 50 to 60 years ago that was going through probably worse things than I'm going through now. And 100 and 200 years ago, worse, my people. So, I mean, it's not fair, but this is how I deal with it, Ella. This is how I deal with it.
It sounds like a good idea, and I think that's a good way to live, kind of accepting the way things are. And then, sorry, I got dropped off, and I think they hung up on Al, too. I was rudely interrupted. I don't know, for whatever reason, we got hung up on, and now Al's hung up on. Anyways, I think that's the attitude we need, and I agree with you. I think it's important to make the best life we can instead of just surrendering and giving up. I think we need purpose, and I like to do activism and try to, I have a job and I'm committed to it. And I think if someone can find some purpose, I think that's great. And I think you need to go out and try to enjoy something anyways. And if there's people taking pictures of you or following you, I ignore them now. I just ignore them as long as they don't get in my face. I completely have tunnel vision. I don't pay attention. And the less attention you give them, they start to realize, I think they don't do that for affection. They just stop doing it, to me at least. And I can't speak for everybody. Everyone's different. But we do need to kind of enjoy the life that we have, even though we may not have the health we had. We may not have as many friends and family. We may not have the freedoms we used to have. But we still have to go out and try to enjoy it in some way. And I'm a big believer of trying to get out of the house, so at least daily, and get some sunshine. I know a lot of people don't live in climates like that, but it is good to get outside. It really helps. And I recently was at the beach, a day ago, and people can hear the difference in my voice, just getting out to nature or go walking or hiking. It really does make a difference. I'm proof. You guys hear me, so you guys know that I always sound better when I'm out in nature. So, I think like going to see a movie and enjoying and trying to have a nice meal if you can. You deserve that. We all deserve that. We deserve to find some enjoyment in this life, this experiential life that we're living.
You're right. Ella, ain't you married?
What's that? I'm married? Yes.
Are you married? So that's what helps. It helps a whole hell of a lot. I'm single. There's a lot of people that are single that can't find nobody that will want to deal with this because people are scared. But I don't trust anybody. You know what I mean? So if you have somebody that you trust and that helps you, that's you don't know. That's a lot of load. And then you go to work. I commend anybody that goes to work that has to deal with this. I mean, I'm retired now, but when I was working, it was hell. But, I had to do things daily to detox. I told you, I used to run, I used to meditate, I used to go get massages, I used to go to casinos, anything just to take my mind off of, I got to go back to work. I got to go back there, knowing that it's going to start up. So, So now it's I still go through it, but it's not to the degree when I was working, because it was at work and at home. Now I just deal with it at home, in the street. So I don't. It's like I don't have to go to a place and subject myself to that. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. But this program, or the situations that we go through, you're right. He was the point when this first started happening, he didn't want to deal with it. He didn't believe it. If he wasn't the strong and beautiful, compassionate person that he is, he would be gone. He would have been long gone when this started.
Oh, yes. Ella, forget he'd be gone. They would have turned him to do stupid things, to make noise, the gas lights you take, you put your purse there. Oh, you didn't put it there. Well, you put it over there. What they're doing was all type of stuff. You know what I mean? People they just don't have ethics. It goes back to what I was saying before. My biggest thing now is betrayal with family members and people who knew me for a while, and I can't believe it. It just baffles me. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. And when we needed, and when I was going through the worst of this, and it was new, and I didn't have the language or the narrative or even the understanding to share this in a way that could at least be rationalized to a person, even if they still don't believe it, that's when you need to support the most, and that's when everybody abandons you. It's just so awful.
I'm so lucky that I had two people, as well as one family member, tell me what was going on. And my next question is, can you help me? No, I don't want to be involved. You should have known better, this and that. I don't, wow. wow, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, I mean, if I didn't have that person to come and tell me, I probably would have went off the deep end, because you don't know what's going on. You know, but you don't. You actually don't know what's going on. I'm coming home from a hard day's work, and my door's open, the light is on, stuff is moved. What's happening? Stuff is, dead animals on my steps, all type of stuff. I can deal with it now, because it's a part of living now. You understand? But it's not fair. Every now and then I still get angry. I still get angry. But I say to myself, the people that are doing this, you're going to have to answer. You're going to have to answer. You're not getting out of here free. There's no freebies. You're doing this for personal gain. You're not doing this to live. You're not killing me to eat me, right? You're doing this for a personal gain, to get ahead, and you're causing somebody misery. You're going to have to pay for it. Or your family members, your lineage will pay for it. Somebody's going to pay. So that's what I say to myself. And I'm glad I spoke today, even though I know I'll pay for it. But what can I do?
Well, maybe not. Who knows? You just know sometimes they don't give you retaliation. Sometimes they do. Who knows? But I hope
they
not.
will. They will. They will. They will. They will. They will.
Well, thanks for having the courage to speak out and know you're going to be retaliated against anyway. Says a lot about you.
Thank you, Allah. Thank you. And do you still have that doctor's name? Every now and then you need to put that guy out. He was a psychologist, and he came on a couple of months.
Yes, Spencer, or I'm sorry, Dr. David S. David Spencer.
You never know. We may need a witness. We may need somebody to speak on our behalf if we have the means to pay for him. You never know.
And we have another guy, too, that just helped out somebody, Dr. Seth Farber. Anytime I call him, someone's institutionalized, he calls them and tries to get them out. And he is a big advocate for targeted individuals, because he was a practicing psychologist. And he said two people came in, two people didn't know each other, and they were saying the same thing. He said he knew it was real because these two people didn't know each other. And they were saying exactly the same thing. So he concluded that this is a real program, or that these types of crimes really happen. So, anyways, guys, it's art. Go ahead.
My question is, how come he has so much courage?
Well, because he says it's the right thing to do.
Good.
Well,
good.
He doesn't even think about it. He wrote us a long paper. I adore that man. I think he's amazing. Most people are familiar with him, too. I have a video. I interviewed him a couple of times, Dr. Seth Farber, if you guys haven't heard that one. Just a really stellar human being. So. And I know it's time to go here pretty soon, but if it's okay with you, maybe I'll just take one more question, and then we can call it a night.
Okay.
I'm going to go to Roseanne. Oh, wait, 970. You got unmuted when Al got hung up. Do you have a question?
I do. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much. I wanted to ask an officer a question. It's kind of more of a technical question, but I thank you so much for all. I enjoy so much. I want to know so much of what you'd answered. Thank you. And also, does an officer have to make a report to every call whether or not he decides it's a crime or not? Do you still have to make a report anyway?
Well, you have to understand that different jurisdictions have different rules. Everybody has to follow the rules of the state, and they have to follow the legal bulletins that are federally mandated by this country. So some departments have something called a memo book, an activity log that they're going to write down. Every time they stop somewhere, they're going to write it. Every encounter, they're going to write it. And some do, some don't. Now, a crime is without a doubt is going to be recorded somewhere, right? for statistical purposes. But depending on the department, they may not be required because of policy to write down an incident that isn't a crime, that doesn't raise to the level of a crime.
Okay.
So they may just have to put the code over the radio and that's it. So I can't speak to all officers because I don't know, the department procedures.
Okay, so sometimes it can be documented and sometimes not, depending.
It depends on that department's policy on documenting purposes.
Okay.
They may document every time they encounter an incident, or they may document every time it raises to a level of a car accident or a person and is going to the hospital, or a crime, or an arrest. Other than that, if it doesn't rise to a crime or what I just said, they may not be required to document anything. They may just put it over the radio. It just depends on that municipality that we're talking about, which I can't answer, right, because I don't know where you live. And I don't know. You have to kind of do your research in regards to that. It's not a generic question. It goes by department.
Okay, great. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciated what you've had to say. Thank you.
And I still had a question. I got hung up on this. I don't even know if I had a chance to ask it, or maybe I wasn't audible. When they say they come to your home and you're explaining a situation that occurred or a crime that you believe happened, and you say something that's just like something that you're being harassed or you have stalkers or whatever, and they suspect that you have a mental health issue, is that all documented?
Well, a better, maybe we need to do a simulation. Like, I'm coming to your door, and then you tell me, and I'll tell you how we'll respond and stuff like that. That would be better, so we get it. I
won't do the first time I called. I said, "There's something hurting me in my house. It's burning."
Okay, so now. Let's play God's advocate, right? Let's not give the devil no power.
Thank
you. If you're a police officer and somebody said that to you and you didn't know them, what would your first thought be?
Of course, I think the person had some issues, but I had burns on my body. So do they think I'm burning myself? Or?
Ella, I still don't know who you are. I don't know you.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
I don't know who you are. What do you mean you have burns?
Right?
Of course you could have burned yourself. Absolutely.
And so you guys would write that down. You would think she was in need of mental health services or something.
Now, if I thought that you was going to hurt yourself or hurt somebody else, then now that call that you made turns into something else.
Right.
Now I may ask you to come outside and let me talk to you some more. Do you have little kids here? What's going on? You have a knife? You have any weapons in the house? Or, ma'am, do you want to hurt yourself or others? No. It can go either way now because we are professionals, right? We're professionals, criminal professionals, we're healthcare professionals, we're social workers, we're counselors, we're guidance counselors. Now, everybody doesn't wear that hat, but I used to love to wear it. I used to love talking and all that. So you just have to be cognizant of what you say to a police officer, right? You do.
Yeah, and remember, if you were in their shoes, if you can think clearly enough, and I do this a lot because of the activism I do, how does this play with a non-targeted individual? What would I think if I wasn't targeted, if someone said such and such? So I'm always thinking that way now.
That's what I just said that. I just said that
you
to
did.
you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the other thing is, not even talking about being a police officer, right? Police officers don't know everything and they make mistakes, right? Then you'll have a police officer that's not as sharp as the other ones. You have some people that are just out of high school, right? Then you have some people that with a master's degree. Then you have some people that know how to deal with the public and that don't. So it depends on the person that you're dealing with, right? But what I like to say, when I approach people, just not police officers, if I'm in an establishment and a person gets nasty with me, if I'm in a store and I don't like the service or a waiter and they get snippy, I'll ask to see their supervisor, right? Or I'll speak to them, and I say to them, your tone in this establishment is very rude and you're unprofessional. So when you use the word unprofessional, they really can't come back at you, right? You didn't curse at them. You didn't put them down. Right. You didn't say you pig. You didn't say nothing. You said you're unprofessional. So now when his supervisor comes, his supervisor is going to pull him aside and say, well, what happened? What did she say? He's got to tell his supervisor that you said he's unprofessional. So you know what the next question is, right? What did you do?
Were you unprofessional? Right.
No. What did you do that she said you was unprofessional?
Right.
So he's got to tell on himself. So you always have to remain calm. You always have to remain, even if they're yelling, even if they do, people yelling, you speak real low. When you speak real low, they got to stop talking and hear what you're saying. So now when they come down, normally a normal person wouldn't go right back up to volume 10. They're going to stay down there with you. You follow me? So these are the things that I still practice that I used to do when I was working. I hope I help you. If a police officer comes out, like, you don't say, I have burns, I have this, I have that.
Oh, I don't do it now. Trust me, I learned.
I know, but what you have to do, you go to the hospital, or then you go to your private doctor. You say, doctor, you don't tell him your target. You tell him, what do you think that would cause this?
That's what I did last time. Because I don't know.
You have them articulate it. You have them articulate it. Wait a minute. That same burn is behind. This is over. What do you think that would cause this? Now later on, you could spin it how you want, but they're going to put it in the medical. They're going to articulate it, medically, right? But you want somebody else to validate what you're thinking.
Yeah, that's what I do. I do that exactly. When I went to the doctor, I'm like, look, I have this burn. It's like 22 inches long. I don't know what it is. It just showed up. Did you didn't see anything, or you didn't? They were so perplexed. So she just said, non-specified contact burn. I go, please redocument this for me. Take some good pictures of it. Here, get this side too. I mean, I was telling them I wanted good pictures there, because in the future that might come in handy. And I got some special cream to heal me up. Yeah.
Yeah. So when people deal with police officers, just remember, all police officers are like anybody else, any other profession. Some are brighter than others. Some are lazy. Some don't want to be there. Some are professional. Some are not professional. And so it's your duty to act as professional as you can and as detailed as you can, and be factual. It's not what you say, it's what you can prove. And there are times where you have to back a law enforcement official in a corner so they would do their job. It's unfortunate. They may be going out after work. They don't want to do anything. You never know. So you just have to be professional, and you have to act calm and not react, respond. You know what I mean?
Wonderful advice. So I guess that's going to be it, guys. Oh, there's a little echo. Hold on, let me mute her real quick. Okay. Yeah, I had some funny things going on with my board. I have a board that runs almost like a switchboard, and it's been some funny issues. Anyways, thank you so much, Mr. 718, and you're welcome back anytime. And thanks, everybody, for coming. And there is a call on TalkShoe if you guys want to go. I don't have the number, but you can always look it up. and it's 125-472, 125-472. It's a late night call. It's very different. Like I said, it's kind of like going into a bar, so put on your hard hat if you're going to go.
No, that's not for me, Ella. That's not for me.
No,
Thank you very
probably
much, Ella.
wouldn't be.
No, thank you very much. I'll be coming back listening periodically.
Thank you, sir. Okay, everybody.
Right.
Good night.
Take
Bye.
care.